Unfortunately, it took us 4 trips to New Zealand before we discovered Arrowtown. We had been recommended by friends and family many times to go. They all said, "You have to go to Arrowtown. It's so beautiful," but we just hadn't found the time. This trip, though, we did, and we were not disappointed. What a gorgeous, quaint little village. It has a population of just over 3,000 people and is right on the edge of the picturesque Arrow River. Many people come here to explore the varied hikes or bike trails, and it's also the starting point for popular wine tours, both guided and bike tours. The main street, Buckingham Street, is like out of a time capsule and is full of fabulous shops and even more fabulous cafes and restaurants, some with some fascinating histories. You can wander around town and see all the centuries-old miners' huts or walk through the Chinese settlement that still has houses and shops in the original condition from the gold rush days. If you're feeling lucky, you can even try your hand at gold panning. The local museum is renowned as being one of the best in New Zealand and is the local tourist information centre as well. If you want to see the pictures or the interactive map as well as the links to the places we mentioned, then click on the link to episode 81 in the episode description on the podcast player you are now listening on. Please enjoy episode 81, all about the beautiful Arrowtown in New Zealand. Good morning, Lyle.
Good morning, Leonita.
As I said in the intro, today we are talking about this gorgeous little place called Arrowtown, which is in central Otago, and they describe it as where history meets nature.
Do they?
They do. But before we get started, we've got a really great podcast recommendation for you. So I've been in touch with Joe and Carmela, who host the Wine Pair podcast, and they focus on giving honest and fun reviews about reasonably priced wines. And we're always into reasonably priced wines, aren't we, darling? So you basically can find nice wines that don't break the bank. They're from Seattle in the United States, but they cover wines from all over the world. So there's some they even talk about from Australia, which is great. And they've actually been focused in the a magazine called Decanter Magazine. So that's pretty good. They say their podcast is fun, irreverent, chatty, and entertaining. Sounds good. Well, I reckon they are too. And you can find their podcast and on their website, the winepairpodcast.com, or on Apple and Spotify or all the players that you listen on. The other thing I love about it, it's nice to find other husband and wife podcasts, and especially when it involves wine. We're always up for that, aren't we?
We are, as long as they're not better than us.
So check out Joe and Carmela at the Wine Pair Podcast. So, Locke, let's do it. Arrowtown, because talking about wine, it is another spot where you can get good wine.
Yes, look, it's probably about our fourth holiday in Queenstown and New Zealand. Nearly every time I come back and I tell someone how great Queenstown is, and especially if they're Kiwis, the first thing they said, "Have you been to Arrowtown?"
Well, that's right, because I remember reaching out to our friend Trapper and saying, what should we do? Our first trip, and he's like, "You got to go to Arrowtown." And we didn't get there that time.
No, and it's only about 19 points, or about it is 19.6 kilometres from Queenstown. But unfortunately, because we don't drive on foreign roads,
foreign countries,
we haven't done it. But then,
we've never had the need to hire a car because we've always just wanted to stay around.
Queenstown, yeah, exactly, because there's so much to do there. But
you don't have to hire a car.
No, but this time, the lovely Leonita, at one stage, we were on the jetty on Lake Wakatipu.
Yes.
And there's an information centre there, and we got chatting to them, or Leanne did, and she found out that we could actually catch a local bus to Arrowtown, and it goes really regularly. It's and it's only probably 15, 20 minutes drive, and it's $2 return. $4 return. So why we haven't gone, I've got no idea. But
and the bus trip's really quite nice. You actually go into a really beautiful suburb of Queenstown up on the hills where you wouldn't see unless you did the bus trip. And then, as we said in a previous podcast, it goes past Lake Hayes, which is divine. And then it also stops at 2 wineries on the way. So Amersfield, which is, and Mora wines, which are famous and well known. So you can stop at those wines, and then the last stop's Arrowtown.
Yeah, and both those wineries actually serve lunch. So, yeah, look, it's amazing.
So you don't need a car, but you should get to Arrowtown.
Yeah, look, we also found out when we did our Hopper wine tour that many of the people begin their Gibson Valley wine tour from Arrowtown.
Yeah,
Um,
they do.
Now, this also includes arriving at Gibson Valley via a return shuttle bus from Queenstown, where you will collect your bike and get dropped off by shuttle bus at Arrowtown. From there, you can ride along the Arrow River Trail and Gibson River Trail, crossing suspension bridges and passing picturesque farmland and the iconic Bungee Bridge.
Right, and I have seen pictures of that bike ride over the bridge, and as much as I don't like heights, I can't wait to go back and do that. It looks stunning. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, and the actual distance between Arrowtown and central Gibson Valley, which is where all these wineries are, is only about 15k.
Yeah,
so it's not far at all.
It's not far. Yeah, so we as I said, we did the bus trip and then landed in ourselves in Arrowtown. But you want to tell us, like, the it's not a very big place, Arrowtown, is it?
No. Big is an overstatement. Yeah, look, it covers 2.36 kilometres or 0.91 square miles. It's got a population of about 3,060. Now, the whole thing about Arrowtown is...
Arrowtown, yeah.
What did I say?
Arrowtown.
Arrowtown.
Yes.
It's a quaint heritage village surrounded by awesome mountain scenery. Its stand out is its famous high street, Buckingham Street.
Main Street, yeah.
Yeah. This is a lovely string of historical buildings which open to a tree-lined avenue sheltering one of New Zealand's most photographed sites, a delightful row of 19th century miners' cottages. Now, Arrowtown is a historic gold mining town located on the banks of the Arrow River.
And so what I was saying, there's one main street called Buckingham, and it's still narrow because it was built, back when the gold rush was on.
1840s.
Right, and it still has all the facades a lot of the facades of the original shops. And some of the shops even have, which we're going to talk about in a little while, but and also the settlers' cottages, which I've got pictures of beautiful little cottages. Go to the podcast player you're listening on, and this is episode 81, to check those out. But what fascinated me were I don't even know what you call them. I'm sure there is a name. The things that you used to attach your horse to at the front of the shop.
Oh, the hitching rail.
Yeah, they're still there.
See, I like westerns, so I know what a hitching rail is.
So there's still some of those original hitching rails out the front of the shops. Now, we were lucky when we did our hot air balloon ride, which we talked about in episode 80. We got to see Arrowtown from the air, and you're right, it's not big. And there's a big mountain range behind it. It's picturesque from the street, but it's also picturesque from the air, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's an amazing place. Look, I'll give you a bit of the history because I know you are just waiting for me to tell you the history. It was Maori Jack Tewa, a shearer who found gold in the Arrow River in 1882. But as is the way, a pushier European, William Fox, made bigger waves, and the town started a life called Foxy's.
Foxy's.
You've got a...
Yeah, my kids have got a business called Foxy Home Staging.
Yeah, so it's
not at all relevant, but anyway.
No, I thought I'd throw it in. G'day, Jake. G'day, Phoebe. 1,500 miners worked the river below the emerging Buckingham Street township. Many were Chinese who built a separate village still viewable today. Now, the thing that gets you about this place is the buildings themselves.
Oh yeah, it's really beautiful. And when we hopped off the bus, we first thing you notice are definitely the buildings.
Yeah.
As I said, we jumped off the bus and walked half a block around the corner up to Buckingham Street.
Yeah, look, the fascinating thing about this street is that it's all the old original buildings, or the majority of the actual street include all these original buildings, and they've obviously been renovated and refurbished and whatever.
So what used to be
but the foundation of what they are is what they are, and it really is fascinating.
Yeah, you stand there at the street, and it's almost, as I said, narrow. And on both sides, you can just see these quaint little wooden buildings, and some are stone. And as I said, the hitching rails. And
Yeah, it's like stepping back in time.
yeah, it's beautiful, isn't
So
it?
you've got the old
Sorry,
butcher's.
it's only one long block, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only, well, there's two streets parallel, but this is the main street.
Yeah.
Look, the old butcher shop, which was
that was
1872,
one of my favourites. Yeah.
and their early days general store that became the pharmacy that started in 1862.
I've got a nice picture of that pharmacy. It's gorgeous.
The Stables, today a restaurant, was built in 1863 for Bendix Hallenstein, the clothing legend. Now, when we saw this
Stables,
the restaurant, what it was, we were straight away drawn to it because it's such a beautiful old building. We didn't realise it was Stables, and
it's just off the main street on a little sort of garden area. And Bendix Stables, and the sign at the front says Waterhole and Food Emporium. It's one of the old signs. Yeah.
Now Bendix Hallenstein.
Yes.
Now, I had no idea who he was, so I couldn't help myself. He was a German-born Jewish merchant, statesman, and manufacturer. He was best known for founding the retail clothing store Hallenstein's, which still bears his name and is now part of the Hallenstein's Glassen Group. There's actually a Hallenstein Brothers clothing shop in Brisbane, Chermside.
Okay.
I won't go any further, but I actually did a little bit of a deep dive, and like, this guy was amazing, and
like a real entrepreneur.
Oh, back in the day, he was incredible. But
that little Stables was beautiful, and I've got some lovely photos of that because we walked in and had a look as well. It wasn't quite lunchtime, so they were still setting up. So we got a nice little. It's very cozy and rustic inside. Beautiful spot under and they've got an outdoor seating area under a great big tree in the grass area. Yeah, right there in the main street. It was beautiful.
Yeah, but that wasn't open. But what was open, which was pretty much across the road, was the New Orleans Hotel, and that was established in 1866.
What a shame to call it the New Orleans Hotel. It doesn't match Arrowtown at all.
Yeah, but maybe it was because of the horse hitching rails out the front, New Orleans Westerns. I don't know. But we actually went and had a look because I couldn't help myself being an old ex-publican. And we ended up having a drink back on the deck, which is faces the south.
Yeah, so you go into New Orleans Hotel in Buckingham Street, but it goes all the way through to the other street, and the views look over the little river and the pretty trees. We're going to talk about the river in a little while. Yeah, that was lovely sitting there on the deck of the New Orleans Hotel.
Yeah, and the beer was good too, which is
that
most
was later
important.
in the day we did that. We did have lunch first.
Yes, we did, and we had. But then there's the museum, which was 1875. The Bank of it was originally the Bank of New Zealand,
and it sits on the corner, and it is like one of those old, solid-looking bank buildings that you immediately know was a bank.
Yeah, well, now that's actually the
museum?
The museum. So, but as Leanne said, that there was, there's a couple of other buildings. The Masonic Hall, 1887, and that's beside the library. There's Dudley's Cottage, that was built 1878, and, there's also a Chinese settlement. But what Leanne's talking about is the best bakery, I would say, definitely in Arrowtown.
Yes.
Possibly New Zealand. And more than likely, the world.
Oh,
because I had a lamb and mint pie for breakfast. It wasn't for lunch. It was seriously spectacular. And Leanne, actually, you were educated at this particular shop.
Yeah.
A bakery, I should say.
Yeah, I had a butty.
Yes, you did. It's spelled Butti.
Yeah, and I had no idea what a butty was. So it's basically a toasted sandwich.
Yes, and you had egg and bacon with mushroom. Of course you did. Yeah. And the only reason we found that because Leanne couldn't help herself. She said, "What's a butty?"
Well, they were very helpful. And once again, there's a lovely little courtyard area on the side of the bakery. The bakery's right on the corner of Buckingham Street. and lovely seating area, and lots of little tables to sit at. So it's very pleasant to sit there and watch the world go by, eating my butty and your lamb pie. Yes.
Now, we've already talked about the stables as a restaurant, but there's about around 20 cafes and bars, and they're all competing to better each other with their food and atmosphere. Cuisines include a modern Euro. Remember there was that pasta place, and the lady was in there, and she was doing the handmade pasta. Italian, Asian, Japanese, and Thai.
Yeah, there's restaurants everywhere, really. You say 20, there'd be at least that many. And I remember I came across a cafe when we went for a little walk a little bit further down in Buckingham Street, and away from some of the main shop buildings, but near the, the settlers' cottages. And I've seen that cafe on Under the Vines as well.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. And we've seen a few of the shops and restaurants appear in that series on the ABC, haven't we? So
and also Greg Hay. Yes. I think he lives in Arrowtown.
Yeah, a lot of the people we speak to that have restaurants and things, in Queenstown, they love living in Arrowtown.
It's out of the hustle and bustle, probably. Yeah. But I think he recommended. Was it the Dishery? I think it was. Yeah.
Another little restaurant
he said that's really good for a brunch.
Yeah. We did find some nice places to eat, that's for sure. As Lyle pointed out before, Arrowtown is often the place where a lot of wine tours start. But one of the places that when we did our wine hopper tour, and this was obviously we went to Arrowtown a couple of times this time, our Andrew, our guide, suggested that the people on our trip with us start at the little place called the Winery. Now, we talked about that in the previous episode because there's one in Queenstown, but I think this might be a bit bigger and the original. It's called the Winery in Arrowtown. Yes?
Yeah, the Winery, Arrowtown, cellar door, wine store and bar. Now, basically, as we said in the one in Queenstown, you serve yourself with their wine card system to either a taste, a half or full glass from their extensive wine selection. Now, I said the full glass was was the perfect size in the last one. But look, there's over 1,300 local, New Zealand and international wines and spirits. They do deliver. They will send the deliveries international.
Mm-hmm. So just think about that. They've got 1,300 different wines that you can try right there in one shop, and it's, as Lyle said, it's like a dispensing machine, and you have a card and you choose which wine, you choose which size you want, and it's a great idea.
Yeah, I can't believe it's not in Australia.
I know,
to be honest. Yeah. And if I had plenty of money and I wasn't as old as I am, I reckon I'd give it a shot and maybe go into business, because I just think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
And especially if you're in like a wine area, like whether it be South Australia or Anyway, we'll go right on.
That's our next career move after we finish travel podcasting.
Yes. Now, they also have cheese boards, charcuterie boards, which is basically the local meats, and they serve delicious tapas.
Do you notice how every podcast Lyle has to find something he needs to slow down and pronounce? I think he just loves it.
No, I think to be honest with the listeners, I'm not that sharp, and sometimes it takes me. And actually, I can tell. I'm going to tell you straight out right now. There's going to be another couple of words in this particular episode that I will be slowing down. So let's not go any further with that.
Okay.
And they also serve local and New Zealand craft beers, and they have barista coffee. Why would you want coffee there?
Well, because sometimes you get there early, Don.
Then I wouldn't be going to the wine shop. I'd be going to the bakery. But anyway, right. Another feature.
You're getting excited. You're getting loud. Slow down.
Sorry.
What about
look? There's lots of clothing stores.
No wonder he loves the shopping.
And
for such a small main street, it certainly has a bang for your buck when it comes to shopping, hasn't it?
Yes, and the brochure says
the brochure says
there's no better strip in the country to browse knitwear.
Well, that's true. Like beautiful knitted. Everything, like soft, shawls and scarves.
And a lot of merino wool.
Beautiful, big, thick jumpers and stuff. The day we were there, it was actually quite warm, and I couldn't imagine even trying any of that stuff on.
Yeah, but I'm a bit of a knitwear. I love knitwear. I'm serious, and you know I do. And so I was pretty impressed with what I saw.
Shots.
So when the brochure says the strip is there's no better. To be honest, it was pretty fair income.
Well, I was actually impressed because they had a lot of jewellery too, like a lot of gold.
Gold, of course, is a specialty with large nuggets on display. Nuggets. That's what I said. Nuggets. That's a Kiwi way of saying nuggets. It's nuggets. Yeah, bro.
Nuggets. Jade.
They also have jade, opal, pearls, and pa'ua shell, which is what we call in Australia abalone shell. Now,
which is beautiful, shiny, bluey green. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the jade, especially in New Zealand. Now, as I understand it, and what I read earlier, in Milford Sound, there is particular areas of rock that once processed is actually jade. Right. And it's one of the few places in the world where you can actually get true jade. So, and the green is just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yes. But I remember also when we said we're going to Arrowtown, one of my friends said, oh my gosh, that is where you get the best chocolate, but also like the remarkable sweet shop. I can't remember which one they asked me to bring home, but it's pretty famous, isn't it? So yeah. So we didn't have any chocolate or lollies, but the shop was pretty funky. I remember the sweet shop, but also
the chocolate shop,
the Patagonia one.
Yeah, it's the Patagonia one, which is the sister to the Queenstown one.
Yeah.
And the remarkable
sweet
like
shop.
is it especially for the kids?
You get free tastings.
Yeah, they offer free tastings every day of their famous remarkable fudge and nougat with over 1,000 types of imported and New Zealand made sweets, novelty candy, chocolate and toys. Guaranteed your visit will be a sweet one.
Yeah, well, and as I said, there are people that actually go to this shop to buy certain lollies or candy sweets because it is just amazing. So, yeah, there's lots of different stuff to choose from in that Buckingham Street. One of the most popular things that people do when they go to Arrowtown is go to the museum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when we arrived there, we walked up the ramp and there's a huge life-size photos cut out back from centuries ago of the workers and the people that lived there. And do you remember there was that one photo I took a picture of it. It was like our friend Rhonda, and it was like
I do remember
a spitting image of her, and I sent it to her. That was funny. I just thought that was a lot of fun, and she wasn't a very happy picture, but it was a spitting image, wasn't it? It was like her maybe her great-grandmother or something like that.
Sure.
From years ago. Anyway, tell us about the museum, please.
Okay, the museum was established in 1948 in the billiard room of the Ballarat Hotel. Well, of course it was. It shifted to its current home in the former Bank of New Zealand building in 1955. The current museum complex includes the bank, original bank stables, and the original brick baker's oven, which were built circa 1875.
Yeah, it's quite a decent-sized building when you put it all together.
Within the museum, the social history of the gold rush era is detailed, as well as descriptions of the mining methods and machinery. Other displays include a lifelike recreation of a grog's shanty, blacksmith smithy, and as well as a Victorian schoolhouse.
So they're little setups of how they were back then. Yeah, pretty cool.
Now, the museum has a wonderful collection of items and artefacts from early pioneering and farming days of the Queenstown Lakes districts. The museum houses a collection of photographs and information relating to the Chinese migrants who play an important role in the early days of Arrowtown. Now, we've got a bit more information on the old Chinese settlement
in a little while. When we were at the museum, you have to pay to get in, but there is a gallery that's free. And luckily, when we were there, they had an exhibition of the night sky, didn't they?
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really the photos, and there was some what are they, time lapse sort of videos. Oh my gosh, it was truly.
So you could just imagine, like, where
the clearest skies in the world.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, if they're not the clearest skies in the world, they'd be probably close to it. So,
and there's no light pollution.
There's no light pollution. There's nothing,
Yeah.
and I was absolutely blown away. Like, it was just stunning. And the thing that got me too is there was little descriptions, basically saying who the photographer was, and they're also, as part of that, they explained why they wanted to take this particular photograph and the processes they went through to get it and the difficulties they had, whether it be a cloud. So these guys would go out and they'd go do these huge hikes to these remote places. And if the clouds weren't right off, whatever, they'd have to stay there, until they had the clear skies, which just fascinated me. I thought it was great.
Other thing that I guess some of our listeners do know, but others don't, is everyone talks about the Northern Lights, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we have the Southern Lights, and there were photos of the Southern Aurora as well, and they're just as vibrant and amazing. The colours in the sky, the greens, the purples, and that sort of thing. And if you have a chance as well, there's a couple of like photograph gallery shops in that main street, and also in the other street that are just, like where the photographer has their own shop, or they're selling local not paintings, but pictures there.
Yeah, photos.
Yes, and not just the sky, but also the mountains and the things around Arrowtown. Like, amazing photography.
I'm pretty sure one of those shops, the one that's in the street parallel to Buckingham Street, I'm pretty sure that was really close to the winery.
Yeah, it was.
And, we sort of went in there and went, wow, like, how good's this? And then after that, we went into the museum, and that's where we saw this exhibition. And seriously, it was worth, I honestly believe it would be worth going to Arrowtown just to see that exhibition.
Yeah, or to go to those galleries.
Go to those galleries.
Because, we talked about the wool and the chocolates and the jewellery, but honestly, those photography galleries, I reckon they're my favourite, just really good. So, all right, but one of the other things that's a real attraction in old Arrowtown is the Chinese settlement. And it's right. So we've got the main part of town we've talked about. The Chinese settlement is just out of the main area. It's an easy walk, and it's set up now. Well, not now, where it was along the little river there, isn't it?
Yeah, the Arrow River. Yeah. The discovery of gold in Otago in 1861 led to an influx of miners from all over the world, including significant numbers from China. By 1868, there were 1,200 Chinese miners in Otago and over 5,000 by the 1870s. By the end of 1869, 2 Chinese stores had opened in Arrowtown. Faced with considerable prejudice from the European settlers, the Chinese formed their own small settlement at the end of the town. The Chinese settlement in Arrowtown underwent an archaeological excavation and partial restoration from 1983 to 1986, and is an easy walk from town, as Leanne said.
Yeah, because we...
Describe it, Leanne.
Yeah, I will. I've got some really nice photos, because they've got some of the original huts that the workers used to live in, and they've got also, I think there was 2 shops that they had, and they're original. They're in the original condition. And so there's probably 3 or 4 little huts and a couple of shops, and they're all along this beautiful little trail set up against sort of the side of a mountain, a little hill.
Yeah, and they were market gardeners as well.
Yeah, so there was that sort of area. And I've got some lovely pictures of these beautiful, iconic. They're made out of stone, some of them, some timber. So go to the podcast player app you're listening on, and this is episode 81 to see those pictures, because I was blown away by it. And there's a lot of information. They've got some sign boards with all the information about some of the the famous locals, and also about the shops and the houses that were built, and there was a lot of information. You could actually spend quite a few hours wandering around that area, and it just so pretty too.
Because it's right. Yeah, because you're right on the Arrow River.
Yeah, like the beautiful tall trees. And
it was nice.
Yeah,
for sure.
You can imagine that conditions back then might have been obviously back then were a lot harsher, especially when it was snowing and cold. But the day we were there, it was idyllic, and it's just a really interesting area to wander around and learn about and to be able to see those buildings in such unique, great condition as well.
Well, as we said, look, it's right on the Arrow River. Now, part of the I suppose the fascination, the value, I suppose, of going to Arrowtown is there's 15 listed walks that take in the mountains, forests and rivers, and range from easy 1 hour strolls to several days outdoor. Amongst the best known is the Mutatapu.
Here we go.
Here we go. Now, let me Mutatapu, which includes the route for the famed Mutatapu backcountry marathon.
Oh, okay, so all right, fair enough. So what I was saying is it's a well-known area for walks and hikes, and there's signs for the different trails, so you can basically do an hour to day walks along the river, through the mountains. I think you can walk from Arrowtown to Queenstown as well.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. And then as well as the walking tracks, you can actually bike a lot of those hikes.
Yeah, and you can get the walking and cycling maps from
the walking and what?
The walking and bicycling maps.
Oh, maps, yeah.
I wouldn't be looking at the bicycling maps at all, but Leanne might. Yeah, you can get them from the museum.
Yeah. Yes, because it's the Tourist Information Centre as well there, isn't it? Yes, yep. The old Arrowtown Museum. And I would love to do some of those walks because I'd love just walking along, as I said, through that Chinese settlement. But then when you're coming back towards town, we did and the little creek that we saw is just a tiny little part of it, and it was a little babbling brook running down into a bigger area, and it's very pretty, and there's picnic areas down on that river as well, and I think it's a very common or not popular place for people doing road trips to pull up in their motorhomes and things like that, just to enjoy that, because there's just such a beautiful spot just to explore.
See, I'd like to do the Motatapu
marathon
walking trail. I think that would be marvelous. No, I wouldn't. I only said that so I could say Motatapu again.
Once again, Arrowtown was basically a settlement because of the gold that was found there, right? And that's when the Chinese settlement that we talked about all happened there. And you can actually pan for gold today.
So, I know that.
Yeah. So you can either hire or buy what you need at the museum. And it's really an affordable activity for great fun for kids as well, because the river's right there, maybe 100 metres from the museum, if that far. And, it's nice, shallow water and easy to get around and do that. It's a lot of fun.
I think I also saw that there was one place another place that actually hired and sold the pans, and they guarantee you'll find some gold.
Okay, so. All right. Well, I'm going to make sure I put some links to some of these places we've mentioned in our show notes that go with this episode. So once again, episode 81 on the player you're listening on, and click on that link and you'll be able to see the pictures we're talking about the Chinese settlement, the shops, the pretty town. There'll be some aerial views that we got from the balloon as well, and some links to some of these famous shops that the well-known shops. And I'll see if I can find some links to that gold panning, because I think that'd be a lot of fun for people to do.
Sure.
Yeah. But let's talk about one of the last activities that Arrowtown is now being known for.
Yeah, and this is probably it's called Golf Central, they call it. Yeah. So there's actually within 3 minutes of Buckingham Street, there are 3 golf courses with wow factor scenery, which that's set straight out the brochure, as you would probably already realise. The famous Millbrook Resort has a beautiful 36-hole layout. It shares tournament play with its classy neighbour, the Hills, the New Zealand Open spectacular home.
Yeah, we've had friends that have been walked around and watched that golf competition.
Oh, that's right, Susie did it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Now, the Arrowtown Golf Club is also a treasure. It's 18 holes.
A treasure.
A treasure. Yeah.
Just like you. An ancient treasure. Sorry, go on.
That was a bit hurtful. It's 18-hole wines trickly along an old glacier floor.
Really?
Yes, it's a relaxed country course that nonetheless is rated in New Zealand's top 20.
Wow, that'd be Maybe we should take up golf next time we go
Oh
there.
no, I've tried golf. I'm useless.
Well,
I'm
maybe
hopeless.
I should play because I could be better than you.
Well, you did. Well, you were good at something, weren't you?
Once upon a time, I was good at something.
What was that? What was you good at? You were an aerobics instructor, weren't you? And a personal trainer. So you'd be able to.
I'll be able to play golf.
No, hang on. You did croquet with your mum, and they thought you were a professional.
They did, yeah. Bit different to golf though.
Well, it's eye coordination, hand coordination.
You wait till this podcast finishes, you're going to get a slap around the head.
Anyway, you're not going to believe this is the last episode
on New Zealand. It is, yes. I just did want to say something about the golf course. Now I've forgotten. Oh no, that was the other thing I was going to say. They're now building a retirement village in Arrowtown. Do you remember we flew over it in the balloon?
Yes, yes, I do remember.
They said it's the first one ever. So if this sounds appealing to you, and I know a lot of locals like it, Arrowtown Retirement Village might be just for you.
Yeah, look, it's you can't
picturesque.
You can't describe how beautiful it is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. So I'm sorry that we've waited 4 times visiting New Zealand to get to Arrowtown, but it certainly won't be our last time. But you're right, Lyle. This is our 7th and last episode in our New Zealand series. That's right. And if you haven't listened to the others, you'll find them all at beachtravelwine.com New Zealand. That's we can have a look at those. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've loved doing all the episodes, haven't we?
Yeah, I love New Zealand.
We're in love with
New Zealand.
Zealand.
I love Central Otago.
Yeah. And we're going to go back one day very soon and do a summer road trip and visit some more wine regions and go back and visit our favourites in Central Otago as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually doing Hawke's Bay and Marlborough.
I wonder why. You're a Sauv Blanc fan, aren't you?
Well, Hawke's Bay too. That's on the North Island. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, thank you, Lyle, for coming along on a New Zealand.
So where was your first favourite place to have a vino in
Arrowtown?
Yeah, El Vino.
Well, we really only had alcohol in one spot. However, if I was to go back, I would like to go to the stables and have a nice glass of wine there.
Yeah, it was pretty unique, wasn't it?
It was a really beautiful spot. You?
Well, I'm going to say where we actually did go and have a drink, but it was just a beer. It was a craft beer, and it was very nice. But sitting on the deck there at the back of the New Orleans Hotel, looking at the snow-capped mountains was pretty relaxing and pretty fascinating. So that was really good. And we didn't get to our chance to go to the Millbrook Resort, but when I was reading about that sounds pretty damn good too.
Yeah. It was pretty good. The pictures I've seen of it look amazing. They're all over the buses.
Yeah.
In Arrowtown.
No, spectacular. They've got the spas, they've got the gymnasiums, they've got 36 holes of golf. I'm not that fussed on the golf, but the spas sound pretty good to me.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on our New Zealand series, and I look forward. Next episode's a fascinating one we've got coming up, bit of a surprise. So we look forward to.
Have we got another one coming up?
I've got it done. Don't you worry about that. You're not involved again. I've left you out. So,
okay. So
see you later. See you later, Motors. Yeah. And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from her.